Good morning, everybody. The faith of Abel. As we read Hebrews 11, we find a common denominator to the lives of the people mentioned. Each had a particular characteristic that denotes the kind of faith God loves. What was this element? Their faith was born of a deep intimacy with the Lord. How do you get that intimacy, if I can talk this morning? The only way to get it is through prayer and reading. You can't get it by just casual conversations. I mean, you do, but if you want that true deep intimacy with the Lord, then you have to do it through prayer and reading. It is impossible to have a faith that pleases God without sharing intimacy with Him. What do we mean by intimacy? I am speaking of a closeness to the Lord that comes from yearning after Him, a close personal bond, a communion. It comes when we desire the Lord more than anything else in our life. How many of us do that? Just let that question ponder. By faith, Abel offered to God a more excellent sacrifice than Cain, through which he obtained witness that he was righteous, God testifying on his gifts, and through it, being dead, still speaks. Hebrews 11:4. God testifying of his gifts, and through it, being dead, still speaks. That's a powerful statement. Even in death, he still spoke. Note several significant things about this verse. First, God called himself testifies of Abel's gifts and offerings. Second, Abel built an altar to the Lord where he brought the sacrifices. Moreover, he offered not only unspotted lambs for the sacrifice, but the fat of these lambs as well. Abel also brought of the firstlings of his flock and of their fat. Genesis 4:4. What does the fat signify? The book of Leviticus says it is as food, as offering made by fire for a sweet aroma. All the fat is the Lord's. Leviticus 3:16. The fat was part of the sacrifice that caught flame quickly, bring about the sweet smell. The fat here serves as a type of fellowship that is acceptable to God. It represents our ministry to the Lord in the secret closet of our prayer. An intimate worshipship that arises to Him like a sweet-smelling savor. The Bible's first mention of this kind of worship is by Abel. It is why he listened to the hall of faith in Hebrews 11 as a testimony of true living faith. May we all aspire to the same kind of faith. Our lives can be extremely busy, and I've said this before. Mark 4 relates the story of Jesus, his principles in a house, in a boat being tossed about by the sea. As long as he kept his eyes on Jesus, he could walk on the water. As long as he was focused on that, he could walk on water. As soon as he took his eyes off Jesus, he fell. He started to sink and cried out, "Jesus, save me." sometimes, how should I say this? Sometimes we cry out for help and we truly want it, but we don't want it the way it's given. If you truly need help, you'll take it any way you can get it. Increasing your faith, and the faith of Abel was always keeping their eyes on God, keeping you centered on what's the most important thing in your life. I'm having trouble finding the words that I want to use this morning. I'm sorry. Abel centered himself on God. We should do the same thing. You should center yourself on God, focus on Him, and you will give Him that sweet aroma that He wants. You will give Him that intimacy, and you will get that intimacy with Him that you want. I'm not saying all your problems are going to go away. Don't get me wrong. You're going to have problems. And the closer you get to God and the more intimate you get with Him, the more problems you're going to have from people you didn't think you were going to have problems with. Excuse me. The common denominator to the lives of people mentioned each had a particular characteristic that denotes the kind of faith God loves. You have to get in that quiet place, meditate, pray, whatever it is, and find that intimacy with God to get accomplished whatever you want to get accomplished, whatever that may be. To live in that type of faith would be amazing. And I strive for that faith every day. That is my goal, is to live in that type of faith. I don't always do it, but that's what our goal should be, that intimacy with God. Let me read this. Indeed, the disciples were astonished by the amazing miracle Jesus had performed. They feared exceedingly and said to one another, "Who can this be? Even the wind and the sea obey him." Jesus' own disciples did not know him. He had personally called each of them men to follow him, and they had ministered alongside him to multitudes, yet they were still unaware of who their master really was. So we have two different relationships here. One's from the Old Testament, one's from the New Testament, but it's all about that unimagining faith or intimacy. They didn't realize, they were astonished that Jesus could calm the storm. Abel focused his entire world on God. He built the temple, or he built the altar. He sacrificed his firstlings and his flocks to the Lord. And we never quite get the story of why Cain killed Abel. Well, he killed Abel out of jealousy, I believe. He was jealous. And I think he was jealous of the relationship that Abel had with God. He was jealous. Because God he didn't really accept anything that Abel did. Or that Cain did, excuse me. There was something in him that God knew was not the way it was supposed to be. Even though outwardly he was doing what he was supposed to do, inwardly he was not where he was supposed to be. And part of that was the devil messing with him. Maybe it was pride. I don't know. None of us do. I mean, we just know that Cain killed him. I believe it was out of jealousy because of his relationship with God. Whatever was in him, God didn't like. We go back and we jump to the New Testament in the faith in Jesus, that the disciples who had listened to him witness to the multitudes, and they helped preach with him and watched him perform miracles and all this, but they still didn't know him. They still didn't have that intimacy with him that they needed. And they didn't even realize it. I mean, Jesus had called them individually. But up until then, they still did not have that intimacy with him. If you truly look at yourself and you truly feel it, mine is pride. And I think a lot of it, men, is pride, stubbornness, stiff-necked, Women, it could be vanity. I'm not stereotyping, I promise. I don't know. I'm just speaking from a man's point of view and my personal point of view, that I think a lot of what keeps us away from that intimacy is pride. I want that intimacy. I strive for it. I look for it. I want it. And then you've always got that little thing inside of you going, you don't need that. You don't need that. You don't need that. Now, a part of that is just the devil throwing darts. Keep heading in that direction. Don't let anything move you off that. Don't have anything get you off your track, so to speak. A close personal bond, a communion, it comes when we desire the Lord more than anything else in our life. It doesn't mean you just sit there in a closet all day, but it means you have a personal, close relationship with him. That everything's going to be okay. And if it's not, hey, he's doing it for a reason. We'll figure it out on the back end. Let's go. It's not a big deal. Let's move on down the road. But that close intimacy with God, Abel centered everything around God. Everything he did was directed at the Father. It cost him his life. God knew it was going to cost him his life. He didn't know that, I wouldn't think. But the jealousy of his brother killed him. Or I believe it was the jealousy of his brother. And it was that jealousy of communion with God. There was something in Abel that just would not allow, that God didn't like. There was just something there that God was like, you're not doing this for me. You're doing it for you. How many of us know people that are doing it for them? Whatever gratification they get out of going to church on Sunday, and you can see it after a while. If you have a close relationship and you start to learn, and God gives you that discernment, and you're looking at somebody and you're going, y'all are saying all the right things, and you look like you're doing the right things, but who are you really doing this for? Because you're either bragging about it or you're talking about it all the time, and you want that gratification from other people saying, oh, look how good I am. Look how good I'm doing this. If you truly, truly were doing it for God, what somebody's opinion is wouldn't matter. whatever you're doing and whatever gratification you think you're getting carnally wouldn't matter. It would all be coming from God. That would be where your gratification came from. Helping people, ministering, whatever it is, whatever that may be, would not come from everybody else. It would come strictly from the Father. All right, I'm going to get out of here. The news is getting really crazy, so y'all keep your head on a swivel. You know, we live out here in the country, and we're starting to see homeless people out where we live. So y'all keep your head on a swivel. Pray, prep, and train. Y'all have a good day.